You quickly your response to this petition online to have the American Secretary of State weigh in on the driving ban or the cultural taboo against women driving. There are those in Saudi Arabia and around the world, frankly, who would like her to weigh in on this. You say she shouldn't. Why?
I think that, first of all, I've talked to several scholars. I'm not a scholar myself, but I've talked to many scholars, and they say that this is not a religious issue. So the viewers need to understand that there's nothing in Islam that prevents a woman from driving, and Saudi Arabia is the only Muslim country that is banning women from driving. You know, in Qatar, in Dubai, in Egypt, in almost all Muslim countries, women drive. So it's not a religious issue. It's a cultural issue, and it's based on their values and their culture and their historical development. And I think that if this kind of reform is going to come about, it has to be a grassroots organic movement that has to start out from the women inside of Saudi Arabia. And they need to figure out for themselves what is women's rights, what is freedom for them. And then they need to reach a critical mass and bring that change about themselves. Now, if it's forcibly imposed from the outside, first of all, it's not going to work because it's yet again us forcing our values and our perspective on another culture that we don't understand. I have never lived in Saudi Arabia. I am born and raised in America. And for me, yes, I drive. I've had a driver's license since I was 16. I can't imagine not driving. But for them, it's a different situation.
Well, I'll tell you what. So it has been really from the inside. Women started putting the videos on YouTube. They started sending them to each other to try to, get support to do it. And then with technology, it became more clear that more and more women were trying to do this, and many were not being caught. And it became sort of a groundswell. Now it sounds as though some groups are looking to the outside for some reinforcement. Do you dispute that there is this I guess, grassroots event happening inside the country where women are getting emboldened in doing it?
I totally believe that it exists, and I think that they have the right to peacefully protest and to push for their rights. But, I've talked to some Saudi women and people who live in Saudi Arabia, and for them, they say, and for many women, this is really not their issue. They're fighting for health care, they're fighting for security, they're fighting for, social equality, and just like the face veil or driving, it's really a surface issue. That's not really their concern, and besides, in their culture, you have two things. First, a lot of the major cities in Saudi Arabia are set up like New York City, where many people don't even have cars. It's a pedestrian city.
So wait, are you saying that the women in Saudi Arabia don't need to drive?
No. What I'm saying is that perhaps for women who it is an issue for them, they see the reason for it, and there's definitely reasons for women to drive, if not only safety issues. A woman needs to have that ability. Right. But if they don't even own a car because it's a pedestrian city and it's just like in New York City, many people, it's not even an issue because they don't own a car. Another issue is that in Saudi Arabia, in that culture, driving is something that is a service class. So, for example, women believe that it's an upper class thing to be driven around, and to them it would be not probably degrading or something to drive themselves around. What I'm trying to say is it's not about what I think or what you think. What it means is, what does the society and the culture internally think? And these women who do want the right to drive, it has to come from them, because if you have a Western
But you see, it sounds a little bit like you're marginalizing a movement inside this country to give women a right that they currently don't have. Are you marginalizing that movement?
Absolutely not. But I think that from internally, it has to grow organically, and they have to reach that critical mass and get that support and change from within. And it's happening. And there's many, many reforms that have existed and have occurred within Saudi society. But if it's forcibly imposed from the outside, it's never going to work. And you might actually end up hurting the cause, because then you're going to have a rebellion against what's considered a Western influence.
Right. I see.